What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. At a subscriber's request, we'll be taking a glance over the new Earthbound Immortal cards that have yet to hit the TCG. With an unknown release time for the TCG, by the time these cards get here, this will probably look a lot different. So if you're here when these cards come out, expect a more recent video for them. Anyways, if you're a fan of in-depth combo videos, new set coverage, and other fun occasional stuff we like to do on this channel, then consider returning down to Earth and clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons to immortalize your stay at the Earthbound prison. To start, I'm going to read over Earthbound Prisoner Groundkeeper. It's a level 1 fiend that reads, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon one level 5 or lower Earthbound monster from your deck or graveyard, except Groundkeeper. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except Fusion and Synchro monsters. You can only use each effect of Groundkeeper once per turn. Earthbound monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects while a card is in the field zone. So this is a cool card because it's kind of like a tour guide or a beat trooper buggy, I forget the name of it. And it's also a tuner, so we'll be able to normal summon it, and then we're going to use its effect in order to get ourselves our next new card, the Sweeper. And this is a level 5 that reads, if a card is in the field zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Stone Sweeper once per turn this way. You can discard this card, add one level 3 or lower Fiend Tuner from your deck to your hand. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except Fusion and Synchro monsters. So you can see that's a little bit of a recurring theme, which isn't that bad because you're only playing Fusion and Synchros anyways, but you can only use this effect of Stone Sweeper once per turn. And now because we have access to a level 6 Synchro, we can go into our first new extra deck monster that we'll be getting for the Earthbound Immortals, and this is Earthbound Servant Geo Gremlin. It takes one Dark Tuner plus one non-tuner monster, so it's generic, as long as you have a Dark Tuner, of course, but during the main phase, quick effect, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Your opponent chooses one of these effects for you to apply. Destroy that monster, gain life points equal to that monster's attack. Then during the battle phase, quick effect, you can fusion summon one Earthbound Fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials mentioned on it from your hand, field, and or graveyard. You can only use each effect of Servant once per turn. And this is really nice because then during the battle phase, whatever you used in order to go into your Gremlin, you can fuse away by banishing them from the graveyard and go into a fusion. So we'll now go to the battle phase where we're going to use the effect of Gremlin so that we can go into our next new card, Servant Geo Kraken, and this one only takes 2 Earthbound monsters, so a very easy card to make, and if this card is special summoned, you can add one field spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand. If a monster is special summoned from your opponent's extra deck, you can destroy as many monsters your opponent controls as possible that were special summoned this turn, and if you do, inflict 800 damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed by this effect. You can only use each effect of Kraken once per turn, and the really nice thing about this is that the damage is obviously nice for time and stuff like that, but this is a very easy way to put damage on board as well, which can allow you to enable OTKs a little bit easier. But now, I'm going to use its effect as we just fusion summoned it so that we can get our next new card. This is another very solid card for the archetype Earthbound Prison. When this card is activated, you can target one effect monster your opponent controls. This card gains this effect. While this card is in the field zone, negate that effect monster's effect. During your main phase, you can normal summon one Earthbound monster in addition to your normal summon set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. If this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and you have an Earthbound monster on your field and or in your graveyard, have your opponent's life points, and if you do, negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent currently controls until the end of this turn. The ability to give you an extra normal summon is really nice, even if it just is for an Earthbound, and it'll come up later in the video. I also would like to point out that this is able to add any field spell from your deck or graveyard, so you just saw that we added the new one in order to read it, but in siding you can add stuff like Zombie World versus things like Dragon Link that can really put a mess up into their strategy. For this second combo, and this is going to be reminiscent to the first one, and it's just because I want to show that you can do it with this one card as well, so we're going to use the Stone Sweeper in order to get ourselves the Keeper, and now with the Keeper we can normal summon it so that we can bring back our Stone Sweeper from the graveyard, go into our Gremlin, and then we can go to the battle phase where we can do the exact same thing that we did before. And just like that, we have a total of 6 ways if you want to play 3 copies of each in order to get into this. Now, for this next combo, we have the Soundskeeper along with the Line Walker, and the Line Walker is a level 3 Dark Fiend. It reads, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 Earthbound Prison or Harmonic Synchro Fusion from your deck or graveyard to your hand. And these cards having the ability to interact with the deck or graveyard is just insane in my opinion, because it's just taking that power level to the next level. And if you control a level 6 or higher Earthbound monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one opponent's effect monster, special summon from the extra deck, shuffle it into the deck. Then your opponent can special summon one monster with the same name from their extra deck. You can only use each effect of Line Walker once per turn. And this will get you into different lines of plays, as you'll see in the video, and it definitely opens the door into more things that you can do. As we're going to use our field spell now so that we can get the extra normal summon, use the effect of the Stonekeeper or the Groundkeeper to get our Stone Sweeper, and now we can go into our next new card, the Earthbound Servant Geo Griffin, and this takes 1 Dark Tuner plus 1 non-tuner monsters. Quick effect, you can special summon 1 Earthbound monster from your graveyard in defense position, except Griffin. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except Fusion and Synchro monsters. If this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by your opponent's card, you can destroy 1 card on the field, then inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each Earthbound monster with different names you control and in your graveyard. You can only use each effect of Griffin once per turn. And this is another card that follows a theme of stuff having to be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. It also has the ability to burn, which you saw in Kraken as well. But we're now going to use the effect of the Griffin in order to get back the Stone Sweeper so that we can go into Gremlin, and this will give us the ability to use the effect during the battle phase so that we can get our Kraken and then use the Kraken in order to get another copy of the field spell or get any other field spell in the game. So this next combo will reveal the version that I'm on if you haven't read the title or skipped to the deck profile, and we're going to start by normal summoning the Claws using its effect, and the cool interaction here is that the Stone Sweeper is a level 5 Fiend, meaning that you can search it off the Claws, and this means that you can use the Stone Sweeper to get your Groundskeeper, activate the field spell, and then get the extra normal summon for an Earthbound Immortal, making this 2-card combo possible. So we'll bring out the Line Walker, use the Line Walker, which will get us our next new card, the Harmonic Synchro Fusion, and this one reads, send 2 face-up monsters you control to the graveyard, 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner, special summon 1 fusion monster and 1 synchro monster from your extra deck that can be fusion and synchro summoned, using only those 2 monsters in the graveyard that you send as material. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck the turn you activate this card, except fusion and synchro monsters. You can only activate 1 harmonic synchro fusion per turn. Now we're going to continue our turn by activating it so that we can go into our Chimera and the Dawn Dragster, and we won't be able to get the effect of Claws, which is fine, because what we do have the ability to do is go into our Zeta, giving us 2 disruptions for our opponent's turn, with a spell and trap negate, along with the Zeta being able to banish an opponent's monster until the next standby phase. But then I would also like to point out that the Chimera serves as follow-up for your opponent's turn, and if you go to their end phase, there will be something that you can do that I will discuss momentarily. But first, I would like to point out that because I did summon this off of Harmonic Synchro Fusion, we actually are playing 3 copies of this, and it's important because you want its revival effect from the graveyard as well as the hand rip ability that you get from using its effect off of its fusion summon. So we're now going to go to our opponent's turn and treat the draw phase as the end phase here, because if you do this in any other phase, then you're not going to go for this line of play. So we're going to revive the level 1 as we'll use its effect in order to bring out the Line Walker, use the Line Walker, and then you can get back your Harmonic Synchro Fusion like this, meaning that on your turn you can then activate the Harmonic Synchro Fusion and fuse these 2 away into the Kraken. You also get the ability to bring out your Griffin, and it just replaces the 2 bodies with 2 big extra deck bodies. For this next combo, we have our first of a couple of 3-card combos, and we're going to start this one with normal summoning the level 1. I would also like to point out I will be showing a different variation of this combo later in the video. I just didn't want to make it too redundant with the 2 3-card combos, so I saved it for a hand. We're going to bring out our Stone Sweeper because we have a card in our field zone, activate the Harmonic Fusion, go into our Griffin and Kraken. We can then activate the Griffin and Kraken, revive a monster, as we'll also be able to get our ourselves the search for the field spell. We'll then go into our gremlin, and then we can end our turn on that. On the battle phase, you can bring out a second Kraken if you have one, and if you're on an open board to attack with, that's just game. Now, for this next combo, we have one combining the Earthbound cards with the Chimera cards again, and we're going to start this one by activating the Stone Sweeper. We're playing around Droll this way because you can just save the Cornfield for follow-up, as we're going to normal summon out the level 1 with the extra normal summon off the field spell, bring out our Stone Sweeper so we can play around Droll, use the effect of the Cornfield as we'll be able to get our Swordsman, normal summon the Swordsman. We can then special summon out the Baphomet off of the Swordsman, use the Baphomet, which will get us the Claws and the Ghost Fusion or the Chimera Fusion. Do keep in mind that this really won't play around Droll after Cornfield, so you may have to do something else in regards to summoning out Baphomet if you do get Drolled. You may just want to keep the Swordsman on field, but we're now going to activate the Chimera Fusion, go into our Chimera, as we're then going to activate our Claws along with the Baphomet and the Chimera for the hand rip, as we'll get the revival for the Mirror Swordsman, get ourselves the addition of the Cornfield, as we'll then activate the Chimera Fusion. Now for this next combo, I just want to show another way that this deck can play around Droll and how easy it really is, and it also shows the reliance that you do have on the field spell to make the combos work with the Chimera stuff, because there may be times where you do need that extra normal summon. So we're going to normal summon out the Mirror Swordsman with the second normal summon that we have for a turn, since our field spell gave us the additional normal summon of a Chimera card or an Earthbound Immortal card, as we'll get ourselves the 2 adds off the Baphomet. We can then go into our Chimera, use the effect of the Claws along with the Baphomet, bring back the Swordsman, get the hand rip as well, as we'll be able to add ourselves the Cornfield, and we actually haven't used the Cornfield in this turn, so we'll be able to do just that as we get back the Chimera Fusion, add ourselves the Claws, and now we can set the Chimera Fusion where on our opponent's turn we can tribute off the Swordsman to get the Baphomet, get ourselves the Surge, and then we just have everything that we can do with the Chimera Fusion being able to fuse away. We also have the level 6, which can technically be a disruption, or it can win you a game in time, but we also get the ability to get additional effects off the fusion summon of whatever we go into with stuff like the Baphomet and the Claws. Now onto the test hands, and the first thing that you'll see is that I am on Crossout, and I do think it's important in this deck as well as other Chimera variants as we've seen. But we're going to normal summon out the level 1 as we're going to bring out the Line Walker. Use the Line Walker in order to search out the field spell. We'll then activate the field spell as we'll special summon out the Stone Sweeper because we control the field spell. Activate the Harmonic Synchro Fusion, go into our Griffin and Kraken. We'll use the Kraken, Chainlink 2, we'll use the Griffin, bring back the Stone Sweeper. This gives us access into our Gremlin, as now we can end our turn on that, go into the battle phase if you would like to. You can also set your Crossout, of course. This is just a replay and not an actual game. Now for the final hand, and this is the hand that was kind of similar to the 3-card combo I showed earlier, except this time we have access to the field spell and the level 1 and the level 3. So we're going to use the field spell, get the extra normal summon for the level 1, use the level 1 to bring out the Stone Sweeper, and then we can normal summon out our Harmonic as we'll be able to get ourselves the Advanced Synchro Fusion or the Harmonic Synchro Fusion, and then we'll go into our Kraken as we'll also get our Griffin. Use the effect of Kraken along with the Griffin to bring back the Stone Sweeper, and this will give us access into Gremlin as well. And with this, we can end our turn on that. So with all of the combos out of the way, we can finally get onto the deck profile, and you'll see that the space for going second card is alive and well. You're really just jamming 2 engines in together and then having your going second cards do the rest of the work. And the cool thing about this deck is the fact that each engine just takes up such small space, and they're so consistent in doing what they want. As you saw, the Stone Sweeper and the level 1 are technically just Gremlin into Kraken and get your engine sort of going, while the Chimera stuff can get you your hand rip, it can get you into the Earthbound Immortal stuff through Claws, and just the little things like that that really help this deck shine a little bit more than I thought it would really. And you'll also notice some other options that I have in the extra deck. Tau the Great Chanter is a level 3 illusion monster. If this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by battle. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one illusion monster in your graveyard except Tau, special summon it in defense position. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the graveyard for the rest of this turn except illusion monsters. And I don't think that this card is right for this deck, but I do think that this card is a very good illusion card moving forward, seeing as it is an extender that can revive an illusion monster. Then we have the level 6 Chimera Fusion that we'll be getting in Agov, and I don't think that this is worth playing either. The reason being, because of Harmonic Synchro Fusion, this has the ability to target one of your banished Beast, Fiend, or Illusion monsters except Baphomet, the Phantom Beast Dark Ruler, special summon it by banishing it from your graveyard. So that's the main reason why it's not in the deck over Chimera, which has the ability to revive the monster from the graveyard. But the rest of the effect reads that this card's name becomes Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast while on the field or in the graveyard, but it is still treated as a Phantom Beast card. You can only use each of the following effects of Chimera once per turn. If this card is fusion summoned, you can send one Beast, Fiend, or Illusion monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can banish this card, yada yada yada. And now I would like to point out that I don't also think that this card is worth playing in this particular deck because the Foolish doesn't really matter. While it does seem convenient in hindsight when you're able to send the Swordsman, the thing is that you're cycling through your engine regardless, and that means Swordsman's gonna get onto the graveyard one way or another, or your Codal if you need the targeting protection. Then I would like to go over the other two Earthbound fusions. We have the Geograsha, and this one takes one Earthbound fusion monster plus one Earthbound synchro monster, which is sort of easy to do, but it's a lot of resources, so it reads, must be fusion summoned. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles a monster, change that monster's attack to 0. If an opponent's monster is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. You can only use this effect of Grasha once per turn. If this face-up card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can special summon one Earthbound monster from your deck or extra deck. So kind of gimmicky in my opinion, too many resources for what it does, which is why I don't play it. And then we have the level 6, which I do think is worth consideration because it takes one Earthbound monster plus one Dark monster, and you'll notice that with the Chimera package there's not really a lot of Dark monsters, but all of your Earthbound stuff is Dark. And we also have the Baphomet, which is Dark as well. The Gremlina reads, if this card is special summoned, you can add one Earthbound monster from your deck to your hand, and that's why I say that it's kind of worth considering. You can target one Dark Synchro monster you control. It can attack directly this turn. If a monster your opponent controls is destroyed by an Earthbound card effect, you can target one of those destroyed monsters, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original attack. You can only use each effect of Gremlina once per turn. So the second and third effects you don't really care about. It's more the Rhoda that you would care about if you wanted to play this. And there is an argument to trim this down to 2 and then bring this in if you want to do that. Maybe you can even look at the Baron, since the way that you're making Baron in this deck is through Fenrir and Ash, or you're doing it via the Stone Sweeper or Baphomet along with the level 1 and one of your level 4s. Other things that I would like to talk about is stuff like Ancient Fairy Dragon. I don't think that we have a specific field spell that makes me want to play Ancient Fairy Dragon over something like Zeta, which is a disruption, yet we also don't have a extra extender because in this particular build I don't think Revolution Synchron is worth it. So that's really why I kept this out of the extra deck. Later in the future I would like to talk about 100 Eyes Dragon though, depending on the type of Earthbound support that we get later on. This card reads, it takes one Dark Tuner plus one or more non-Fiend type monsters. Once per turn, you can banish one level 6 or lower Dark Effect monster from your graveyard. Until the end phase, this card's name becomes that banished monster's, and replace this effect until that banished monster's original effect. Now, the really cool thing about this card is the fact that if we get something like an Electromite for Earthbound, then this deck gains the ability to have that Starving Venom copy effect for something like an interaction like that. And if it really is like an Electromite, it means that it will destroy, and if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add one Earthbound Immortal from your deck to your hand. So this card, I think, is on the watch for a potential big upgrade in the future. I don't want to guarantee anything because I'm not part of Konami or anything like that. That being said, I think it's something to keep an eye on. Then we have the Psychic End Punisher, which is another option that you can go into. You have a lot of ways to level manipulate into what you want to go into because you have level 5s, 3 tuners, 1 tuners, and just little things like that. Fenrir plus one of your tuners gets you into an 8 or 10 as well. But with all of that out of the way, I guess I'll just get onto the card by card. So we have the 2 Stone Sweeper, we have the 2 Baphomet, the 1 Harmonic Synchro Fusion, the 2 Crossout, the 3 Chimera Fusion, the 2 Mirror Swordsman, 4 of the Field Spell with the 1 Terraforming and the 3 Field Spell because you want to see it as much as possible so that you're not clogging too much into just Engine with the Earthbound and Chimera cards because you don't want to have the normal summons getting stuck with each other. We then have the 3 Line Walker, the 3 Cornfield, the 3 Fenrir, the 2 Talent, and the 1 Thrust. I do this not only because I want to play the Thrust, but because of Crossout. Then we have the 3 Droll, the 3 Ash, the 3 Claws, and the 3 Keeper to round out the main deck. Onto the extra deck, we have the Soldier, which does come up. It's a level 5 that you can end up going into with your Harmonic Synchro Fusion off the Claws and your level 1 or any other level 4 really. But then we have the Gremlin, the Dawn Dragster, Zeta, the Griffin, Draco Berserker, Baron, the 3 copies of Chimera, the 1 copy of the Magical Beast, 2 Krakens, and 2 Guardian Chimeras to round out the deck profile. So for everyone who's made it this far into the video, I'd like to thank you for watching and for the 600 plus subs. I truly appreciate your support. We've monetized the channel, giving us access to supers and memberships, which means that more awesome stuff is on the horizon. To get the channel membership, just click on the description below and there will be a link that takes you there. You'll also notice a free Discord link that I've made for us too. If you want to support me as a content creator, even if you can't donate supers or get a membership for the channel, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons help a lot too. For those wondering, I do plan on making updates to the channel as the support on the channel grows. Anyways, I hope to see you on the next one. It's Bones, signing out.